Sydney's night culture is not dead, not yet. But that's not to say it isn't an ongoing struggle. What with the crazy lockout laws, the overzealous policing, and endlessly overlapping regulatory bodies, otherwise known as the New South Wales Nanny State. FIB's new series, Places with a Pulse, celebrates the bold visionaries who have refused to fall victim to the nanny state harassment and who continue to shine brightly. Our new film series shines a light on the most innovative hospitality attractions in the post-lockout Sydney scene, the coolest bars, restaurants, hotels and clubs. We meet the venue pioneers and operators who have refused to let the state lawmakers stymie their passion and creativity.
One of the most influential nighttime entertainment venues in Sydney is the Oxford Art Factory. Taking inspiration from Andy Warhol's New York factory during the 60s, 10 years in and going strong. No mean feat in a town where dozens of other iconic entertainment venues, bars and nightclubs have succumbed to the flow-on effects of the infamous lockout laws and closed. The Oxford Art Factory on Oxford Street in Darlinghurst remains a thriving live performance venue, with its beckoning yellow lights welcoming over 5,000 attendees weekly. On any given night, you could see performances from Guy Sebastian, Evan Dando, Tame Impala, and even Lady Gaga perform there.
The Oxford Art Factory came around because I could now fulfill my dream of conceptualizing the full picture of including art, music, clubs and all manner of entertainment into the one space, and that was down here. And so this came up, and then the concept was delivered and the DA was granted, and we started building the Oxford Art Factory early in 2007. That was completed in September 2007, and we opened our doors late September in 2007 and haven't looked back. Not enough has been done to actually protect the integrity of certain areas like Oxford Street, King's Cross. They all represent a certain, I guess, profile for a city. You know, Oxford Street being the LGBTIQ neighbourhood and historically always aligned to that, but also having a very strong connection to the live music industry, and Midnight Oil, Cold Chisel, the Saints, Radio Birdman, they all had their beginnings on this strip. I would make sure that people were made aware of that. I would make sure that there would be a dedicated campaign to make people aware of the history of this part of the city. I think the government pointing the finger at the venues was an unfair attitude to have, because they themselves implement that law in the first place. So, you know, it's almost like saying to somebody, okay, here's the rules and regulations for you to operate, and this is how you have to operate. But we're just going to ignore anything on the outside and blame anything that happens on the outside on you. And that's basically what's happened. And you know, a lot of those king hits, you know, occurred before midnight. They occurred at 9 o'clock, and they were done by people who hadn't even been inside a venue, who had been preloading elsewhere. With regard to the safety inside the venue, as opposed to what's going on the street, that is somebody else's responsibility. I have a responsibility within a certain radius of the venue to ensure that that area is maintained and it's safe and people are treated in a respectful manner by people exiting the venue, etc. It's also my job to make sure that whoever is in the venue, that when they leave, they're leaving in a state that is not going to be harmful to the amenities of the neighbourhood. And that we have to do that. I mean, if anyone's reaching intoxication within the venue, they're asked to leave before they even reach intoxication. So the question is there more of a likelihood of people being in danger on the street? Always. Because I'm heavily regulated in here. It's almost like you're walking into a confined space which is regulated and is managed in order to provide you with a secure time and a secure way to pass the time inside the venue. But once you leave, it's up to the authorities to be able to do that. And I guess back in the day, 3 years ago, before the lockout was implemented, in areas like King's Cross, I don't think there was enough. I don't think there was enough police patrols. I don't think there are enough now, potentially. I think the relaxation has to come through the law. The law has to be turned around. The law has to be gotten away with. And then kids will come out. The kids, you've got to remember, there's kids out there that have never known anything different than the lockout. So if you were to tell them, okay, well, you don't have to stop, you can now keep going, I'm sure that a lot of them would take that offer up. It's been 10 years now. I think we've entertained over 20,000 entertainers in those years. I think we've probably seen over a million and a half, maybe getting close to 2 million people through the venue. It's going well. I think it's got a lot to do with having a hands-on person like me at the helm who believes in what they're doing. It's a passion. It's not so much the financial side of it or whatever that inspires me. It's more putting a smile on people's faces and creating events and getting acts into the venue and filling it up and giving people an experience.